Hello, hello, and welcome back to another episode of the Easy English Podcast. I am Hannah, and as always, I am here with my wonderful co-host, Alex. How are you doing today, Alex?
Hey, Hannah. I'm doing great, thank you. I am really excited about today's topic because it is something almost every English learner struggles with at some point. It is a classic head-scratcher.
Oh, absolutely. Today we are talking about three phrases that look incredibly similar but mean completely different things. We are diving into used to, be used to, and get used to. I remember when I was learning, I would mix these up all the time. I would say things like, I am used to wake up early, and people would look at me like I had two heads.
Yes, that is actually one of the most common mistakes. And don't worry, by the end of this episode, everyone listening will know exactly how to use these three like a native speaker. We're going to break them down with simple, real-life examples. No boring grammar tables, promise.
Perfect. Let's start with the first one, the simplest one, used to. Alex, when do we use just used to on its own without be or get?
Right. We use used to when we talk about things in the past that are not true anymore. It could be a past habit or a past state. For example, I used to play video games for 5 hours every day when I was a teenager. Now, I barely have time to play for 1 hour a week.
So it's a dead habit. It started in the past, it happened regularly, but now it is completely finished. I used to drink 3 cups of coffee every morning, but now I only drink green tea.
Exactly. I used to drink. Notice how after used to, we just use the basic action verb. Play, drink, live. Like, I used to live in London, but now I live in sunny Spain. It's just used to plus the base verb. Simple, right?
Very simple. But here's where learners get confused. What happens when we put be, like am, is, or are, in front of it? What is be used to?
This is the big shift. Be used to has nothing to do with the past. It actually means to be familiar with or to be comfortable with something. It is your current reality. For example, if I say, I am used to cold weather, it means cold weather is normal for me. I don't feel shocked or uncomfortable when it snows because I am familiar with it.
Oh, that makes so much sense. So if I live in a very noisy city like New York, and my friend visits and says, wow, the traffic is so loud, how can you sleep? I can say, oh, don't worry, I am used to the noise. It means the noise is normal for me now.
Spot on, Hana. And did you notice what came after I am used to in your sentence? You said the noise. That is a noun. This is a golden rule. After be used to, we use a noun or a verb ending in ing. We never use just the base verb.
Let me double check this because this is where my old mistake comes in. If I want to talk about waking up early and it is normal for me because I do it every day for my job, should I say I am used to wake up early or I am used to waking up early?
It has to be I am used to waking up early with the ing. Because waking up acts like a noun here. It is the activity you are familiar with. Let's compare them side by side to make it super clear.
Yes, please. Let's do a direct comparison. That always helps.
Okay. Sentence 1. I used to wake up early. This means in the past, I woke up early, but today I sleep in late. It is a past habit. Sentence 2. I am used to waking up early. This means waking up early is normal for me right now. I do it easily. See the difference? Used to wake versus I am used to waking.
Wow, when you put them right next to each other like that, it is actually so clear. One is about the past, and the other is about what is normal for you right now. Okay, so we have covered used to and be used to, but what about the third one? Get used to.
Get used to is the missing link. It is the process of transition. Be used to is the final result. You are already comfortable. Get used to is the journey of becoming comfortable. It means to become familiar with something over time.
Oh, so it's like a bridge. If I move to a new country where they drive on the left side of the road, at first it is very strange and scary. But slowly, over a few weeks, I start to adapt. I am getting used to driving on the left.
Perfect example. At first, you are not used to it, then you get used to it, and finally, you are used to it. It is a natural progression. And just like be used to, after get used to, we also use a noun or an ing verb. So you get used to the traffic or you get used to driving on the left.
That is a great way to remember it. It is a timeline of comfort. Let's say I start a new job where I have to wear a suit every day. On my first day, I feel stiff and uncomfortable. I might say to my coworker, I need some time to get used to wearing the suit.
Exactly. You're in the process of adapting. And after 6 months at the job, you can say, now I am used to wearing a suit. It feels like pajamas to me.
Pajamas. I wish we could wear pajamas to work. That would be amazing. But wait, Alex, what about the past tense of get used to? Can we say got used to?
Absolutely. Since get is a normal verb, you can change the tense of get used to fit any time. You can say, it was hard at first, but I got used to the cold winters. Or in the future, don't worry, you will get used to the new software soon.
Oh, that is so flexible. So I can say I got used to the noise, I am getting used to the noise, and I will get used to the noise. It changes just like the normal verb to get. But used to for past habits never changes, right? We only say I used to. There is no I am using to or I will use to for old habits.
Spot on, Hana. That is a massive difference. The one for past habits, used to, is stuck in the past. It only looks back. You can never use it for the present or the future. If you want to talk about a present habit, you just use the normal present simple tense. For example, you don't say, I used to play tennis on Saturdays to mean you do it now. You just say, I play tennis on Saturdays.
Ah, that is a very common mistake. I hear many students say, I used to go to the gym every morning when they mean they do it now in the present. They just drop the D at the end of used and think it becomes present tense, but that is incorrect.
Exactly. It is a super easy mistake to make because it sounds logical. But English grammar doesn't always play by logical rules. If you do something regularly now, you just use the present tense. Save used to exclusively for things that are dead and gone, things that do not happen anymore.
Dead and gone. I like that. It makes it sound very dramatic. So I used to eat meat, but now I'm a vegetarian. The meat-eating habit is dead and gone.
Exactly. Rest in peace, meat eating. And on the other hand, if you want to say that eating vegetables is normal for you now, you use be used to. So you say, I am used to eating vegetables now. See how they work together?
Yes, I used to eat meat, but now I am used to eating vegetables. That sentence has both. This is actually a great exercise. Let's try to make more sentences that use both so our listeners can hear them side by side. I will start. I used to sleep until 11 a.m., but now I have a baby, so I am used to waking up at 5 in the morning.
That is a painful but perfect example. Waking up at 5 a.m. is your new normal, even if you didn't want it to be. My turn. I used to live in a small village, but now I live in London, so I am used to crowds of people everywhere.
That makes total sense. It must have been a big change. Did it take you a long time to get used to the crowds in London?
Look at you, using get used to perfectly in a question. Yes, it did. It took me about 6 months to get used to the crowds and the busy subway system. At first, I felt very stressed, but slowly I got used to it. Now I'm completely used to it. It doesn't bother me at all.
This is perfect. We have the whole timeline here. Let's do a quick quiz for our listeners, and for me too, to make sure we really have this down. I will give you a scenario, and you tell me which one to use. Or you can test me.
Let's test you first, Hana. Imagine you just bought a new smartphone. The buttons are in different places, and the screen feels different. It is very annoying, and you keep making mistakes. What do you say?
It is a process of change. I am in the middle of adapting. So I would say, I am getting used to my new phone, or I need to get used to this new screen.
Perfect. Now, fast forward 3 months. You can type on the phone without looking. You love it. It feels completely normal. What do you say?
Now, it is my state of being. It is familiar. So I say, I am used to my new phone now.
Excellent. Now, think about your old phone. You don't have it anymore, but you remember that it had a very small screen. What do you say about that old phone?
That is a past state that is no longer true. It is dead and gone. So I say, my old phone used to have a very small screen. Or, I used to have a phone with a small screen.
You got them all right. 3 out of 3, see? When you break it down like that, it isn't as scary as it looks in a grammar book.
It really isn't. But Alex, I want to ask you about the negative form. How do we make these negative? Because I know that can get a little tricky, especially with spelling.
Ah, yes. The spelling of the negative and the question forms is where many native speakers even make mistakes. Let's start with used to for past habits. In the positive, we write USED to, but in the negative, we use the helping verb did not or didn't. Because didn't already shows the past tense, we change used back to use. So it is, I didn't use to like broccoli.
Wait, let me look closely at that. I didn't used to. No D at the end of use.
Exactly. No D in the spelling of use when you have didn't in front of it. I didn't used to. It is the same for questions. Did you use to live here? Again, USE without the D.
Honestly, when people speak quickly, you can't really hear the difference between used to and used to. They sound exactly the same. I didn't used to sounds just like I didn't used to. But when we write it, we have to be careful.
You are totally right. In spoken English, the D sound gets blended into the T of to, so they sound identical. Nobody will know if you make a mistake when you are speaking, but if you are writing an email or taking an English exam, that little D is very important.
Okay, so I didn't used to like broccoli, but now I do. What about the negative for be used to and get used to?
Those are much easier because they just follow the normal rules for be and get. For be used to, you just add not after the verb to be. So, I am not used to this cold weather, or they aren't used to the noise yet. You keep the D on used here because it acts like an adjective.
Oh, that makes sense. Since used is like an adjective there, it doesn't change. I am not used to it. And for get used to.
For get used to, we use the auxiliary verbs don't, doesn't, didn't, or won't depending on the tense. For example, I don't get used to new technology very quickly. Or she didn't get used to the city life, so she moved back to the countryside.
Ah, okay. So she didn't get used to the city. But wait, since we used didn't, do we drop the D from get used to as well? Or is it different?
That is such a fantastic question, Hana. The answer is actually no. You do not drop the D in get used to. It always stays as used with a D. Why? Because in get used to and be used to, that word used is not a main verb in the past tense. It is actually functioning like an adjective, just like you said before. So I didn't get used to it is correct. You keep the D.
Okay, let me repeat that to make sure I have it. For the past habit, I didn't used to, there is no D on use because did is already showing the past. But for get used to, the used part never changes because it is like an adjective. So I didn't get used to the noise. Is that correct?
Spot on. That is exactly correct. You nailed it. It's a very common mistake for learners to write, I didn't get used to, but now our listeners know the secret. Keep the D for be used to and get used to no matter what.
That is a huge relief, actually. It makes the spelling rules a lot clearer. But Alex, let's talk about the verb that comes after these phrases. This is where I always see people getting super confused. Sometimes we use the base form of the verb, like I used to play, and sometimes we use the ing form, like I am used to playing. Why does that happen?
This is the ultimate test of these three phrases. This is where most exams try to trick you, but the logic is actually very simple once you see it. Let's look at used to first. Remember, used to is for past habits. It behaves like a modal verb, similar to would or could. And what always comes after a modal verb?
The infinitive or the base form of the verb, like I can swim or I would go.
Exactly. So for past habits, we always use the base form. I used to live in Spain. She used to eat meat. We used to play football every Sunday. Simple, right? Just the basic verb. No ing, no to before the verb, because to is already part of used to.
Okay, that is easy. I used to run. I used to cook. But what about be used to and get used to?
All right, think back to what we said about be used to and get used to, meaning familiar with. In those phrases, the word to is not part of an infinitive verb, it is actually a preposition. It is the same to that we use in phrases like I look forward to or I am looking at.
Oh, I see. And after a preposition, we always need a noun, right? Like, I am looking at the cat, or I am looking at her.
Precisely. We need a noun. And if we want to use an action, a verb, after a preposition, we have to turn that verb into a noun. How do we turn a verb into a noun in English?
We add ing, the gerund, like swimming or running.
Exactly. You've got it. So because the to in be used to and get used to is a preposition, it must be followed by a noun or a gerund, which is the ing verb. Let's look at some examples. I am used to the cold. Cold is a noun. I am used to living in Canada. Living is a gerund. Both are perfectly correct.
This makes so much sense now. So if I say, I am used to wake up early, that is wrong, because wake is a verb, not a noun. I have to say, I am used to waking up early.
Yes, you got it. I am used to waking up early means waking up early is normal for me. I am familiar with it. It doesn't bother me.
And if I say, I get used to waking up early,
That means you are in the process of making it a habit. Maybe you just started a new job last week and you are still adjusting. You can say, I am getting used to waking up early. Again, because of the to preposition, you must use waking with ing.
this is such a common mistake. I hear people say, I am used to drive on the left all the time, but it should be, I am used to driving on the left.
Yes, I am used to driving on the left. Let's compare two sentences to really show the difference. Sentence A, I used to drive on the left. Sentence B, I am used to driving on the left. Hana, what is the difference in meaning here?
Okay, let me think. Sentence A, I used to drive on the left. This means in the past, I regularly drove on the left side of the road. Maybe I lived in the UK. But now I do not drive on the left anymore. It is a finished past habit. Sentence B, I am used to driving on the left. This means driving on the left is normal for me right now. It is not strange or difficult for me. I am comfortable with it today.
That was absolutely perfect, Hana. You explained that better than any grammar textbook. It really shows how a tiny change, adding am and ing, completely changes the time and the meaning of the sentence.
It really does. It's amazing how much power those small words have. Let's do another one to practice. How about, I used to eat spicy food versus I am used to eating spicy food?
Great example. I used to eat spicy food means in the past I ate it often, but for some reason, I don't eat it now. Maybe my stomach can't handle it anymore. But I am used to eating spicy food means I eat it now. It doesn't burn my tongue, and I am totally fine with it because I do it all the time.
I love that. It is so clear when you put them side by side. Now, what about get used to in this context? How would we use that with the spicy food?
Well, imagine a friend of ours who hates spicy food moves to a country where almost every dish has chili in it. At first, they might cry or drink a gallon of water during every meal. But after a few months, they might say, "It was hard at first, but I got used to eating spicy food." Or, "I'm slowly getting used to eating spicy food."
So got used to means they completed the process. They successfully adapted to it. And am getting used to means they are still in the middle of that process. It is still happening.
Exactly. You can see how get used to can be used in almost any tense. You can say, "I will get used to it," "I have gotten used to it," or "I am getting used to it." The action of adapting can happen in the past, present, or future.
That is a huge point, Alex. With the first one, used to for past habits, we only ever use it in the past. We can't say, "I used to do this," to talk about a present habit. If we want to talk about a present habit, we just use the normal present tense, like, "I usually do this." But with get used to, we have all the tenses available because adapting is a real active process that happens over time. Is that right?
Spot on, Hana. That is one of the most common mistakes I hear. Students often try to say, "I used to go to the gym every day now," when they mean, "I usually go to the gym." Remember, everyone, used to with an infinitive verb is strictly for the past. It is a dead habit. It does not exist anymore. But be used to and get used to are all about your comfort level. And that comfort level can be in the past, the present, or the future.
This makes so much sense. Let's talk about the grammar structure for a second, because I noticed something when you were speaking. When you said, "I used to eat spicy food," the verb after used to was eat. It's just the basic form of the verb, the infinitive. But when you said, "I am used to eating," or "I got used to eating," you added ing to the verb. Why does that happen? That always confuses people.
This is the ultimate grammar trap, Hana, and I am so glad you brought it up. It all comes down to the word to. And used to eat, the to is part of the infinitive verb to eat. But in be used to and get used to, the word to is actually a preposition. And what do we always put after a preposition? We put a noun, a pronoun, or a gerund, which is just a verb with ing acting like a noun.
Oh, a preposition. So just like we say, "I am looking forward to the weekend," or "I am looking forward to meeting you," the to in be used to works the exact same way. It needs a noun or an ing verb after it.
Precisely. That is why we can say, "I am used to the cold weather." Cold weather is a noun phrase. Or we can say, "I am used to living in a cold city." Living is the ing form. Both are perfectly correct because they follow that preposition to. But you can never say, "I am used to live here." That sounds very unnatural and is grammatically incorrect.
Okay, let me try to create a quick test for myself and our listeners to see if we can spot the difference. I will say a sentence and you tell me if it is correct or incorrect. Ready, Alex?
I am always ready for a quick pop quiz. Fire away, Hana.
Sentence number 1. When I moved to London, I had to get used to drive on the left side of the road. Is that correct?
Close, but incorrect. Since we are using get used to, that to is a preposition. So we need the ing form. It should be, "I had to get used to driving on the left side of the road."
Right, driving with an ing. Okay, let's try another one. Sentence number 2. I used to have long hair when I was a teenager. Correct or incorrect?
That is absolutely correct. Used to here refers to a past state or habit that is no longer true. And we followed it with the base verb have. Perfect.
Awesome. Let's do one more. Sentence number 3. Don't worry about the noise from the street. I am used to it.
Correct again. In this case, it is a pronoun, which works perfectly after am used to. It means the noise doesn't bother you because it is normal for you.
We are really mastering this today. I feel like the dark clouds of grammar confusion are finally clearing up. But let's give our listeners a few more everyday examples, maybe about work or daily routines, because that is where we use these expressions the most.
Definitely. Think about starting a new job. On your first day, you might say, I am not used to waking up at 6 in the morning. It feels terrible, you are exhausted, and you need 3 cups of coffee. But after a month, you can say, I am getting used to waking up early. It is becoming a bit easier. And after a year, you can confidently say, I am used to the early hours now. It is just a normal part of your life.
And what about the old job? You could say, at my old job, I used to start work at 9. That is a past habit that doesn't happen anymore.
It's so beautiful how these 3 expressions cover the entire journey of change: the past before the change, the process of changing, and the final state of being comfortable with the change.
That is a beautiful way to summarize it, Hana. You should write a grammar textbook. It really is a journey. Used to is the starting point in the past, get used to is the bumpy road of transition in the middle, and be used to is the comfortable destination at the end.
I love that analogy, the journey of change. Well, listeners, we hope this episode makes your English journey a little smoother. Don't worry if you still make mistakes at first, you will get used to using these correctly with a little practice.
You definitely will. Just take it one step at a time, practice writing a few of your own sentences, and they will become second nature to you in no time. Thank you so much for hanging out with us today on the Easy English Podcast. We love sharing these moments with you. Until next time, keep practicing, stay curious, and goodbye, everyone.